racing now. I wish I win from last. A spectacular TJ win. Giga kick down the outside, wins the Everest. Shinzo and Ryan Moore have drawn clear to win the Golden Slipper.
With Tim Gilbert and Julie Snook, this is Racing Dreams.
Morning. We have a huge day. Of course, we're just a few weeks away from some huge races, but pretty big racing today.
Yeah, absolutely. Good morning, Timmy. Good morning to you at home. The sun is shining here in Sydney. Gorgeous conditions for racing today and gorgeous conditions for an excellent show. Let's take a look at what we've got coming up. We catch up with racing's newest training duo, Annabelle Neasham and Rob Archibald.
Lizzie Jelfs brings the Magnolia Cup down under for the first time.
And we catch up with Bjorn Baker as his spring campaign gathers momentum.
He's a character.
He's such a character. There's so many of them in this game. And our next guest is one of them. Bustling was the first horse locked in for this year's Everest back in May, Timmy.
Absolutely. Max Whitby and Neil Werrett struck early to secure the three-year-old in their slot. And Max joins us now. Morning, Maxie. How are you?
G'day team, how are you?
Very good.
All right, Maxie, tell us, you brought this gelding back in May. Was this an easy purchase for you and Neil?
Yeah, it wasn't too bad. Mick Kent Jr. introduced us to the owner and the horse after a very good Guaka race day, and we're looking for something new, a changing of the guard, so to speak, and I think this fella filled the bill. Times are very good. It's about 0.10 of something of a second slower than the Guaka winner, and and formed good, fresh blood. Come across the mighty East Coast and see what we can do.
Are you feeling good this year, Max, about the Everest?
Feeling very confident, Tim. Very confident, mate.
You're a confident man, Maxie. That's what we like. But you've been involved with this concept from the beginning. Is there any theory? Is there any right or wrong way to go about the slot process?
The three-year-olds have really, the last 2 or 3 years, have really started to show themselves. Tested horses. There's a couple of, track conditions pretty important as usual. This horse is no good on the wet, so, bet accordingly, but we'll see what happens. Barrow trialled on the 7 in Melbourne, and they were a little bit more impressed than what had happened before then. So that's probably my gravest fear, if we get a heavy track.
I remember talking to Jerry Harvey last year on the show, and we were talking about the Everest, and he goes, don't ever make it a Group 1. It's bigger than a Group 1. It has sort of grown. It's become a 12-month of the year conversation in this industry that we all love.
No doubt about it. Obviously, when you get to the barn and the breeding season, you don't need to have the one against it. Anyone knows it's won or placed in the Everest. I think you've got yourself a good horse going forward. That's the old politics of Victoria and up here and all that rest of it. So at the end of the day, I think, as I say, if you win a Everest, it's a Group 1 class. Look at the type of horses that are in there, all Group 1s anyway.
Have you spoken to Mick Price, Michael Kent Jr. on this guy, how he's faring?
Very exciting, very exciting. He arrived last Thursday, had a barrow trial early in the week, did very well. Kick off next Saturday. Today is very important for racing in Victoria and here for the lead-up races. So we're right in the mix.
So what's his program next Saturday in what race, and what does he do from there?
Well, the Roses next week, and there's one after that. We'll just step through that. We'll have one more run apparently before we get into the Everest. It's quite amazing. 6 weeks away, I guess. You could probably have another barrow trial after another 2 runs. I guess that's what the prep will be.
We are sort of 42 days away.
They've been training down. 42, is it? Yeah, fair enough. They've been running in Victoria, where he's been based till this week, or late last week. They've had him on the other foot, so he's been working our way of going, so he's ready to go.
How do you think he'll
established some boxes out at Rose Hill now?
How do you think he'll fare our way of going in the Sydney track?
All been well. They jumped off after the barrow trial the other day. It was very impressive. Stepped very well on the right leg.
Good on you, Max. We look forward to seeing you out at the races soon. You're recovering from a little procedure?
Oh, yes, mate. Goes with old age, partner. It's all in front of you, lot.
Don't worry, it's starting to happen now, Max. But I look forward to seeing you real soon, and thanks for coming on the program. We love you, buddy.
Righto, guys. Good on you. My pleasure. Good luck with the show.
Thanks, Maxie. Well, one of the horses to look out for today is former West Australian Amelia's Jewel in the Tramway.
Yes, Jewel. She's now part of a very strong stable, Annabelle Neasham and Rob Archibald. Their racing partnership was only formed a few weeks ago, so I thought I'd go out to Warwick Farm for a visit. So, Annabelle, partnership, how's it going?
Yeah, so far so good. The first month's been good. It's been a bit frustrating, quite a few seconds, but a couple of the better horses are ready to return over the next few weeks, so looking forward to a good spring ahead.
How are you enjoying it, Rob? Of course, you've got great pedigree in this industry, all that time at Coolmore.
Yeah, obviously Coolmore were great. It was a really interesting sort of 4 years with them. Learnt a lot about a different side of the industry. I've always enjoyed the racing, so it's been nice to have the last couple of years here back working with Annabelle and obviously joining in the partnership's a real privilege. So yeah, enjoyed the start, and hopefully we can continue on in the right manner.
Off the fence, a tissue run into a dead end. Sunshine in Paris wide out, Storm to the front and kicked away. Sunshine in Paris wins the Scirocco.
She's ready to go. That first up race, same race as last year. She's still got a little bit of a winter coat on her, so hopefully over the next few weeks she can shed that. And the nice thing is, obviously, John Cavalier, who owns her, he's got his own slot for the Everest, so it takes a little bit of pressure off. It means that we've circled the Everest in the calendar. It's our grand final. We've worked back from it, and we can just prepare her as we want without, trying to peak her early just to impress slot holders.
Yeah, that is a comfort, and it was, of course, a Scirocco, and she won it last year.
Yeah, she won it really impressively last year. She had a very similar lead up into it. She's going to have a racecourse gallop 7 days out at Randwick, so she should go there, in good order. There'll be a little bit of improvement to come, but yeah, she's a very high quality mare.
It's overpass in front though from Oscar's Fortune, Amelia's Jewel. Overpass, too good for them again, and they ram home another one in the quokka.
Rob, Amelia's Jewel across from the west, of course, a really talented horse.
Yeah, she is obviously extremely well credentialed mare. We've been really pleased with her since we've had her, obviously learning about her all the time, but her 2 trials have been good, particularly her last one at Hawkesbury, where Tommy just gave her that a little bit more of a push late, and he thought she was spot on. So it's up to her now. She's certainly pleased us with everything she's done, and we'll see where we're at after Saturday.
Racing Dreams have been going for 5 years. I remember like it was yesterday, we were in there talking about Zaki and Mwanga. One's now an equestrian star, nearly a star he is, and Mwanga's a stud.
Yeah, Mwanga, he's at New Haven, so this will be his first year covering, so it's very exciting. I've actually ended up buying my own mare to send to him, so I've never bred before. I'm not sure I'll be very good at it, but it's something to look forward to, so hopefully he goes well. He was such a great horse for me in my career.
Mwanga hitting top gear. Mwanga's won it. Mwanga, I think's beaten Very Elegant. Mwanga's Guineas. Mwanga just beat Skyline.
I think he ran in 22 Group 1s in a row and was always there or thereabouts. Obviously a winner twice at that level, so I've no doubt he's going to make it as a good stallion. And his old mate Zaki, he's switched careers to a bit of show jumping. He's doing the event in Sydney next weekend, and then we're looking forward to maybe the Equimillions with him.
Zaki by 2.5 to Ice Bath. Nimali third. Profondo Every Hope fourth.
Who's the boss?
Oh, definitely me.
Always. You know that.
Oh yeah, no, that was made pretty clear early on, so that hasn't changed in the last month, I can tell you.
Oh, it's the same way at my place. That's the way it operates. Annabelle reminds me of my wife in the fact that she's very busy, a million miles an hour. I find it hard to keep up. How do you go?
I'm the same. She works hard. She's obviously worked very hard the last sort of 4 years to build the business to where it is, and there's a huge team behind us, obviously, that work very hard as well, that help us make it all happen. So, yeah, we're very fortunate to have, a big team, and everyone gets into it, and we're really looking forward to what's ahead.
finally, Annabelle, in a serious note, how good is it to have an ally side by side walking with you?
Oh, it's fantastic, and you know, it's I suppose we're a reasonably big stable in numbers and with staff, and we've got a great team of staff. But to sort of train now alongside Rob, it really made sense to us. Obviously, we're partners anyway. We live and breathe it. Not sure he really had any choice, to be honest, in the matter. I'd like to think it gives Rob a bit more satisfaction. I don't think he believed me when I said, when the name's in the book, it makes it a bit more real. And I think that day at Hawkesbury, when we had our first winner, probably I think he suddenly realised that. So look, hopefully we can try and pick up a few Group 1s early on in our partnership.
It'd be nice to have your name against the Everest winner.
Oh yeah, I'll have it against any race at the moment, let alone the Everest. Everest is obviously, it's a huge race. It's probably one of the biggest races in Australia now, so we'd be just happy to have a few runners, and if we could win it, it'd be even better.
Nice.
Great story, great duo. They'll do great things on the track there. Well, there's some incredible facilities for trainers in New South Wales. Just ask the Price duo. That's a tongue twister.
Here's a trainer profile with Kembla Grange's Luke Price.
It's been a lifestyle change for me because I've got a young family. And when we first made the move from Nowra to Kembla Grange, we had the farm, which we sort of trained off for years, and I had 30 horses there. And we didn't really have the numbers, so I started off with 10 horses here. I'm Luke Price. I've been training in partnership with my father Robert for the last 7 years here at Kembla Grange. It's been great fun, and we have roughly 45 to 50 horses in work, which has just grown over the last 5 to 7 years that we've been here. And it's a lovely place to train. It's a laid-back atmosphere. Everyone gets on. Now we've got the poly track and a bee grass on its way. It makes it a lot easier to train racehorses. Once we've moved to Kembla Grange, the quality got a lot better as well. But in saying that, we know I've trained horses off the beach. I've trained horses, off a farm, off a private property where we had 2 tracks, a great swim hole, and we used to use the Nowra racetrack as well. And it's certainly a whole lot easier just training off one track. And now we've got the poly, and I can't wait to see our new bee grass. We've won the last 2, obviously, premierships, which have been great, and they've been goals we sort of set when we first moved here, but you can't beat the gong. When we first moved, the gong was not around. 2 years later, Racing New South Wales put that initiative in, and to win it so early in the racing program was just a dream, really.
Count the Rupee is descending on them quickly, and Count the Rupee takes the lead now in the gong of the 150. Nudges running home to second, and then came Yamazaki, but it's a local victory. Count the Rupee for Brock Ryan.
I think it just proves that we can mix it with the best. With our facilities, our trainers here, we compete against each other, but we get so much joy out of it for each other, I remember we first took Count the Rupee and think it over away to Flemington, Kerry and I, for the Australia Cup in the Newmarket. And he ran second, but gee, it was a great experience. We travelled down in the truck with the horses. It was just great fun, and just lived every moment as if you weren't going to do it again, and just to see how it all pans out, and see Think It Over. You feel so a part of it, seeing Think It Over do what he did. He was an amazing creature, and just the fact they've come out of Kembla Grange and that we can keep producing them, every carnival that we've got horses to step up and be there just proves that we've got the right facilities and the right people around us.
It is great to have your company this Saturday morning. Now it is time to go around the tracks. Julie, as we heard earlier in the show, there's a new jewel on show in Sydney. I like this horse, and she has an amazing first-up record.
That's right. Amelia's Jewel, in fact, starts today in the Tramway Stakes at Randwick, as we heard a little earlier in the show. She's already a Group 1 winner, having won 9 races in 16 starts and finished second 4 times. But she's mostly raced in Melbourne and Perth. Now she's at home in the Annabelle Neasham Rob Archibald stable, and this will be her first start with the team. So I think there's a little bit of nerves floating around the stables. Annabelle does know what it takes to win the Tramway, though. Her old favourite Zaki won the race in 2021 and 2022 as well. There is 19 entries for the Tramway, including Arctic Glamour, Democracy Manifest and Kovalika. Timmy?
And the sprinters are chasing Group 1 glory in Victoria.
This is going to be a good one. Today we have the Moya Stakes over 1,000 metres at the Valley. With that comes some Everest chat. Golden Slipper winner Lady of Camelot has drawn perfectly in Gate 2. We will get more from her trainer in just a moment. Looking forward to that. Peter Moody's I Wish I Win resumes. Now he jumps from barrier 5 with Luke Nolan on board and of course is already locked in for the Everest. Now Pete put Wishy through his paces at Pakenham on Tuesday. This was his update to the owners.
Luke Nolan in the saddle as he heads towards the Moya Stakes on Saturday. We'll remove the blinkers off him on Saturday for his resumption and he'll go back just the nose roll on. But looks to be rounding the work off in good style here. Just coming up the last 200 metres. Building very nicely, very happy with where he's at.
A very happy Peter Moody there indeed. We can't wait to see I Wish I Win back at the track today. Now, Estrella goes into the race as one of the favourites. Kieran Maher says there has been contact with Everest slot holders, but he's not thinking beyond the Moya at this stage, of course. That's what he'll say. The mare has 4 wins from only 8 starts, including the Sunlight Classic and the English Sprint in the autumn as well. Kieran says while she was a nervous type as a 3-year-old filly, she's grown up a lot more and is much more mature now. We saw her at Cranbourne in a trial last week. Blake Shin will ride Estrella today. So lots of Everest chat.
Absolutely. Plenty around. It'll be a cracking race, of course, here in Sydney. We've got the Concord with some more Everest hopefuls resuming. Well,
what a field this is. Aft Cabin, Bella Nipotina, Private Eye, and of course the return of former Everest champ Giga Kick. His trainer, Clayton Douglas, spoke to Sky Racing's trek to the Everest earlier in the week and said he and Giga have settled into Sydney nicely and he's looking forward to seeing him first up after a break.
It's been a stressful, probably 12 months, you could say. You know, it was a fairly odd injury. It was there's not a lot of information about that injury that he's had, and the way it presented as really sore lameness behind, and I had a lot of sleepless nights thinking about it, that's for sure. But look, the last sort of 3 to 4 months, it's been fairly smooth sailing. We've been able to get some nice work into him, and especially over the last month, he's had a good grounding leading up to his first up run, and I've been able to get some really nice gallops, and he's come through them well. And this horse thrives off a bit of work, so he's forward and fit for his first up assignment, and I'm expecting him to be hard to beat.
That's exactly what we want to hear, and of course J-Mac gets the ride today, Timmy, so there might be a little bit of Everest chat off the back of this one.
Oh, absolutely. And a big thank you to James McDonald. He's going to be on the show next week, and he's a superstar, but he's always available. Great man. Now, we did see a boil over in the Memsie. What's the latest from the Pride of Jenny camp?
Well, we all billed this one as a head-to-head between Pride of Jenny and Mr Brightside, but Pinstriped had other plans, taking the victory. Keep an eye on the chestnut with the blaze just here. Pride of Jenny finished over 5 lengths behind the winner. Now, it's been revealed she had a minor elevated temperature. Her blood work indicated a possible minor virus of some kind. Trainer Kieran Maher said her symptoms were mild and she was bright a few days after the race. So the plan is for her to have a little bit of a rest and a break before her next targets. Hope we'll see her again in the King Charles III Stakes. But what a win by Pinstriped. Very well deserved win indeed. That is the latest from around the tracks. But of course, spring, according to my shirt, has sprung here in Sydney, and the ATC kicked off the season with the annual long lunch at Royal Randwick to celebrate the countdown to this year's Everest. It was a day of sunshine, dining and entertainment. Take a look.
Today the sunshine is out and I can't think of a better day to launch the Spring Carnival.
Spinal Cure is so grateful and very privileged to be a part of this event and raise money much needed for research and potentially a cure.
It's already started to be such a warm spring and we're seeing a lot of colour overseas, so I think colour is going to be the biggest thing that we see this year.
There's a whole new revamp across food and beverage. We're going to be having this incredible Winks stand turn into the Peacock Lounge.
The springs when the new stars are unearthed and the older, more established horses get their chance to say, we're still here, we're still ready to dominate.
Oh, it's going to be a wonderful carnival. Now, when it comes to characters in the racing industry, there is few bigger than Mr. Bjorn Baker.
Oh, he sure is. He's one of the great characters. He happens to be a fantastic trainer as well, which helps. Can Overpass make it to the Everest again? You caught up with Bjorn for Racing Dreams.
Overpass. If Overpass jumps well, the intention is to be further forward today.
Excitement building. Lights on. Ready. Racing.
Overpass moving up on the outside of Forbidden Lava.
Malkovich from the inside. Overpass began brilliantly.
Overpass trying to steady the speed after going quickly early.
It's Overpass in front though.
And for the late challenge. Overpass kicks though. Overpass it all the way.
Too good for them again. And they ram home another one in the quokka. This wonderful son of Vancouver.
Trained by Bjorn Baker at Warwick Farm.
Overpass makes it back-to-back victories.
Yeah, he's been super for myself, the connections in Derby racing. He just keeps doing it. He comes back every year, every season, and he's only 6. It seems like he's about 8 or 9 years old. He seems to have been around forever.
He's made the quokka his own in Western Australia.
Yeah, that's right. So it's funny. He really likes Perth and hoping to get there, back there possibly the end of this year, even back for the quokka next year. So that's the main aim, but he loves West Australia. I think I do too.
Will he be primed for the Everest this year?
The aim, we think he's best fresh, so first up after a break. So we'll aim for Everest. If he doesn't quite make the Everest, we will go for the Sydney Stakes, which is a $2 million race in itself, so it's well worth getting there. And it's probably fair to say he's been super consistent the last 18 months, but his one negative run was probably last year in the Everest, so I'm keen to rectify that, get him back to his best, and hopefully he can get in the Everest and prove it.
Well, you've had multiple runners before. You're a chance having 3, aren't you? Talk us through. Obviously, Overpass is one of them.
For sure. We've got Steffi Magnetica, who last time won the Stradbroke. Of course, last year's winner of the Everest won the Stradbroke before going on to it.
Steffi Magnetica, Bella Nipotina, they're the two, they hit the line, and Steffi's won the Stradbroke. Steffi Magnetica from Bella Nipotina, third lead for Lana.
She'll run in the Premier early October and maybe be a chance to force her way in. And of course she's on a Golden Eagle path as well, so if she can run in the Everest and the Golden Eagle, she'll be running for more money than I can even dream about.
Absolutely. And Caballas? That form in the trial behind Stormboy really means something after Saturday's run.
Yeah, it does. Stormboy was amazing, and he's a really lovely stallion, so if he can even be there on Everest Day, we'll be absolutely thrilled. But Derby know what it takes to get one there, and he's going to have a good sprint.
When a horse does well. Can you explain that feeling? Can you give us a little bit of insight to when you're jumping around and going off?
I guess there's a lot of hard work, and Sydney racing's very competitive, very, very tough, and often it's a little bit of relief as well, but it's a big thrill, you know. You've got to stay competitive, you've got to stay relevant. There's a fair bit of stress involved with these big horses and big races, so maybe I just let it all out and all at once, but yeah, it's good fun, and I wear my heart on my sleeve, so it's what it's about. Nothing can quite compare with the thrill of winning a race, let alone in Sydney.
The Sydney Strapper of the Year, Ashish Kumar.
I would like to thank everyone who voted for me and my team.
We've got a great team. It's a hard job. It's 24/7, and Ashish is he's great to deal with. He's calm with horse, calm with human. He's got a lovely demeanour, which definitely helps because it is a high pressure role. It never ends and everything never quite goes as smoothly as you want. So there's always a little bit of a roadblock or road bump along the way.
So Ashish, to get Strapper of the Year, what does it mean to you?
Oh, it's meant everything to me. When I started in 2017, I had no experience with horse racing. This is my first job. My brother used to work here, and he got me the job here with Bjorn, and I had zero experience. Never been to the horses, never worked with the horses. So it's been 7 years, and we are here now.
I remember covering Rahul Dravid's career in a previous career of mine, and that's what Bjorn described you as. He says he's my Rahul Dravid, he's the Rock.
Well, he gave me the name. In few his Instagram lives, he called me Rahul Dravid, and that's what everyone, my relatives, my friends in India, they've been calling me Rahul Dravid from now on. I hope Rahul Dravid says this.
What's it been like working for Bjorn? Is he a good bloke?
He's a very nice boss, you can say, but he's a bit moody. If he's in a good mood, he's He'll be laughing with you everywhere, but if he's in a bad mood, just try to avoid him.
You're almost an Australian citizen. Is there a chance you might be on the Wallaby train?
Yesterday I watched him win in the last half minute, and funnily enough, I'm from Woodville, same town as Joe Schmidt, so he used to teach me in English.
Is Wallaby? Are you going to break news here?
I do support the Wallabies a bit, but I say Joe Schmidt taught me in English, so I fell a year behind in English. That's why I had to become a horse trainer. He's from my hometown and taught at my high school.
So you're going to be a Wallaby supporter? Or?
I am already, I've got to be honest. I support the Wallabies over the All Blacks, believe it or not.
Do you really?
Believe it or not.
That is groundbreaking.
My wife doesn't like it, but yeah, I'm a Wallaby supporter.
Oh, I love that. That's been a swing shift since we started interviewing. It is great to have your company on Racing Dreams. Last Saturday we saw two real superstars, didn't we? We saw Autumn Glow and Stormboy. Stormboy returning. It's been quite a start over the past few weeks to arguably the #1 stable in Australia, the Bott Waterhouse stable.
Not a bad combination. Adrian Bott joins us now. Good morning, Adrian.
Hey, good morning, Tim, Julie.
Let's start with those two words, Stormboy, because he came and landed in the autumn and probably wobbled at the end, but boy, oh boy, if you needed any convincing, he did it last week.
Yeah, I think that's certainly a very fair comment. It was up a long time. It was difficult getting towards the end of that campaign, not necessarily getting a few tracks to his liking, but yeah, he had a few people sort of questioning him on his return, but I think he was well and truly able to come out and make the right statement there. It was electrifying, that the speed that he showed, and I was really impressed and very satisfied with the result.
Obviously, you and Gay are working with him day in, day out, but there was so much pressure, so much hype around him in the autumn. Does that take a toll? Does the noise start to take a toll on the team?
It does to an extent. You know, when you sort of get a few more voices in your head, no doubt, you're sort of just questioning, are you making the right decisions at certain stages, knowing that obviously they have greater consequences to an extent. But at the end of the day also, they're competitors. We've got to get them out there and get him into the right races, and back his ability that he showed us initially, and he's been able to take care of the rest.
He's certainly part of the Everest discussion, but where does he go next?
Yeah, look, I must say, was always leaning towards a Caulfield Guineas Cox Plate path with him prior to his first up run. Obviously sort of going through a Golden Rose campaign as well, and Golden Rose is always a great race. The 1400 metres gives you the options. You can sort of drop back to an Everest if needed, which we've seen successful before, and then obviously we've seen plenty of horses successfully go on through the Guineas Cox Plate path as well. But I must say, after the performance of that first up win, I did start thinking about the Everest and calculations for that. So no further discussions have been made yet, and nothing will happen until he completes the Golden Rose campaign there, and we can make a few decisions off the back of that.
Well, Lady of Camelot resumes today in the Moir as well. Another really exciting name for the stables. She's going in as favourite at this stage. What are your expectations?
Look, I think she's back in tremendous order. She showed great maturity. I think physically she's improved, and just mentally. She had a good test in her most recent trials. She trialled the same day as Stormboy there. They ran good time. I think she was one of the fastest heats on the morning. So she had a good test, a good sound out. She's travelled down to Melbourne nicely. She's had the experience down there, and she's actually quite natural that way of going. So good test for it. Weight for age level. We'll get a good indication. I guess her Everest credentials are on the line today. But yeah, really want to see a nice forward showing from her.
You got 3 in the Chelmsford today. How are they going to go?
I think Poptronic's a very interesting horse for us. She's having a first start here in Australia. She may find them a little bit sharp. An interesting one to follow later in the campaign. She's a Group 1 winner over there. Military Mission, a little bit similar. He may find them a bit sharp, but he can sprint well fresh. I guess Just Fine would have to be the pick of them, having had the run in the Winx already. he was unsuited by the 1400 metres, but this looks to be a much better field and a much better setup for him over the mile.
You've also got runners in both the Tramway here in Sydney and the Furious Stakes as well.
Yeah, 2 done Lizzie. I think a nice setup for her. She's got good tactical speed. We'll try and look to control things there. I thought she tried up really well against Amelia's Jewel out at Hawkesbury going into this. She looks to have shown some improvement. She showed some good form at 2, but has come back well this campaign. And Royal Patronage, one of the more interesting runners for us on the card today in the Tramway. He's having his first start in Australia, but he's shown some good form in Europe and America. But he just looks a lovely type, and I'm sure there's a nice race in him this campaign. Whether it's first up or not, he's forward enough, but I think there is certainly some nice ability there.
It's been quite a week for your stable, of course, on the back of the mighty Stormboy win. You had a birthday, Gay had a birthday, there's been candles at 10 paces, mate. Happy birthday.
Thank you very much. Quite phenomenal that we share the same birthday. It's been spent many years in the partnership together, and really enjoyed that day. It's another one down, and still hopefully plenty more to come.
Geez, I hope so. You're the same age as me, Adrian.
Oh, you're nailing it. You guys are absolutely nailing it. I love it. And look, we often talk about it. I will leave it with this, Adrian, but I'd love to get your response. Publicity is important for this industry, for this game. You can't do it any better than having equine superstars like Stormboy.
Yeah, no doubt. They create the headlines for you. They get everyone talking. There's been plenty of attention, plenty of media, plenty of hype. As you said, plenty of talk around him, and even the filly Lady Camelot today. But it's great for the stable, great advertisement. It's great for the industry, and as we've always said, that the Everest has been one of its greatest assets, or one of the greatest aspects of that race is the continual talk about that race for 12 months. Just the setup of it, how it changes. Looking for the slots and who's available. So it creates a very interesting and unique point for racing.
Yep.
We've got just over 42 days until the Everest. 2 slots have been filled so far, but obviously 10 slots remaining. We could see some 3-year-olds this year too as well. There's a really great crop of 3-year-olds coming through the ranks.
Yeah, it's going to be very interesting in that regard, and obviously I think the slot holders are taking a bit of a different approach this year. Tactically, they're sort of keeping their cards close to their chest, and they may be looking to sort of make some later moves. They want to see plenty of sort of exposed form. We're seeing very little moves, as you said, to secure anything early in the race, which has been different to previous years. But that may be with that transition of the older sprinters sort of retiring, bit of a changing of the guard there, and a lot of these young horses, plenty of prospects that showed form at 2, but I guess everyone wants to get a good look at them at how they return at 3 and the potential improvement there.
Absolutely. Well, we really appreciate it. I know you're very busy on days like today, but we really appreciate you always making yourself available. Thank you, Adrian.
That's great. Thanks for having us on the show.
The Magnolia Cup is the most prestigious charity race in the United Kingdom, bringing women from all over the world together to ride in the opening race at the Goodwood Festival. So none are professional jockeys, but this concept is designed to change the perception of women in sport. This year, for the first time, an Aussie won the Magnolia Cup, our very own racing expert, Lizzie Jelfs.
To be perfectly honest with you, when I said yes to doing the race, it was more about the journey and how I was going to get myself fit and get myself back on a horse. And because of my background in racing, and it's where I started, I've ridden track work for a very long time, and became a foreman and a travelling foreman and then an assistant trainer. Getting back to the actual reason why I love racing was so much more rewarding than I ever could imagine. The Magnolia Cup is a charity race for 12 riders. They get picked from all different walks of life. You don't necessarily have to have any racing background to be involved. And you all come together, raise money for a wonderful cause. This year it was My Sister's House, which is the local charity in Goodwood. And you race over 1,100 metres, and I suppose whoever is the best wins in the end. for me about regaining a bit of myself again and challenging myself and pushing myself and getting in that really uncomfortable space and not knowing whether I was, going to be able to win and if I would look silly and all those elements that go through your mind when you're doing something completely out of your comfort zone. And I personally have really surprised myself. And as I said, winning the race was amazing, but the journey to the race was the most rewarding. There had to be a massive amount of training before I even jumped back on a horse because they are so strong. These horses are such athletes, and I was completely out of strength and fitness. I went to my local Pilates place where I go regularly, and I said to Kate from Gap Pilates, I need to get as fit as I possibly can because this is what I'm going to do. And she was able to tailor a routine for me to make sure my legs, my arms and my cardio was as fit as it possibly could be without riding a racehorse. Just as soon as I sat on his back, I felt, okay, I'm okay, I've got this. And you go out, it's a really busy environment, the mountain yard, and then you go out onto the track and there's people over the fence talking to you and saying good luck and are you going to win? And it's really busy up until you get down to the start. And then once you get down to the start, it's like silence. It's like just you and your horse and all the other competitors, and everyone's in their own, in their own head thinking what they're going to do. And it's that feeling just before you're about to jump. It happens quickly, but it's amazing how much actually goes through your mind when you start a race. I was told so many times, don't miss the start. If you miss the start, it's all over. And they all lined up in this flag start and I ended up behind and they shot off and I was like, Lizzie, you've done the one thing that you were told not to do time and time again. And I really just had to take my medicine. I sat back and I could see how quickly they were all going. But I also had the words of our jockey coach telling us to give him a squeeze when you go up the rise, and then as you come down the rides, give him a bit of a breather so they can get lots of oxygen into their lungs. And I just did that, and then I looked around and I thought, I'm actually going okay here. I can run top 3. And then I quickly realised that I had a really good chance of winning the race, and that feeling was, can't put it into words really. I thought I've worked really hard, and to be able to win is just the absolute cherry on top. The Magnolia Cup is really a fantastic concept because it's all about bringing different people from different walks of life into racing and sort of breaking down those barriers of diversity and inclusivity as well. I never thought I'd be able to experience what I experienced, and I'm forever grateful for having that now in the locker, now retired. Probably hang the boots up, one and only win. I said to J-Mac the other day, I've got a better strike rate than you.
Welcome back. You're watching Racing Dreams on this gorgeous spring morning here in Sydney. It is time to check in with our tipping competition. Let's bring in our regular Shano Cass from the Daily Telegraph. Nice to see you, Shano.
Nice to see you, Julie and Tim. Great day coming up.
Yeah, all right. Now let's have a look at the tipping comp because we're going to have a talk to you shortly about how everyone and how we're going to look at today. But who have you got today, Jules, in the tipping comp?
So today I am going with, I'm taking a leaf out of your book.
Go short.
I'm going with Manal. So you're watching her in the English size here, where she picked up her first Group 1 win. She's second up in this campaign. We saw her win the Sweden Brace, second up in the autumn as well. Jason Collett gets the ride today over the 1,200 metres. She goes in today's favourite. It's a bit of a cheeky pick, but I need to get on the board. Oh. I need a win.
Oh, I like her in that race. And I've gone Amelia's Jewel because this West Australian with Annabelle Neasham and Rob Archibald now, I think it's 4 first up wins and very, very good fresh. She's a talented horse, so I think Amelia's Jewel will win the tramway. Which way have you gone, Shane?
Well, I need to get on the board too, guys. I'm on a big fat 0 at the moment, so I'm going to put my faith in Chris Waller and Buckaroo. This is an import who's raced mostly in Group 1s down here in Australia, and he's raced pretty well without winning, but look, he's down to a Group 2 today. It's the Chelmsford. It's not the strongest Chelmsford that's ever been run. I thought his run in the Winks was a good race. That's a good form guide for this today, so please, Chris Waller, do just get one winner today.
All right, well, let's have a look at how everyone's gone. We had a good chat with Jared Croker last week. So there is Shane, Buckaroo, Julie with Manal. I've got Amelia's Jewel. Julianne Horseman has gone Private Eye. Martini Mama for Mark.
Oh, that's like me. I'm a Martini Mama.
Yeah. And a few others. Nick's gone to Mudgee, Jules.
Yeah, race 1, number 2. And Jared Croker is sticking with Giga Kick today as well. Can't blame him for that one. That's a good bet. It'll be interesting to see how Giga Kick goes. First up today, let's take a look at the leaderboard. There are a few donuts. That's okay. It's a long season. So Shane, you are there with Mark and and Kirsten. You're the donuts. I've got 1. Timmy, you're leading. Hang on a minute.
Yeah, it's a long way to go. It's a long way to go.
It's true.
No tipping comps for 1 in the early part of September. But we'll see how we go through the rest of it. All right, let's have a look at this race day today because it's a cracking day in Sydney and there are some very, very good races. Let's start with the Concord, Shane. What do you think?
Well, look, I mean, if the Everest, if this is base camp, I mean, I know it's been said before, but there are so many horses in this race that have Everest aspirations, and I think the key to it is not to run badly. Obviously, only one horse can win, but what will the slot holders accept from the beaten division? I mean, if you're really disappointing, does that play you out? If you run on well and get beat 2 or 3 lengths, does that play you in? I don't know. I think all eyes, though, will definitely be on Giga Kick, the horse that we've spoken about so much. I mean, obviously, he's a past Everest winner. He missed last year's race due to a little injury. And as you heard from Clayton Douglas earlier in the show, he's back. They're all sort of waiting to see what's going to happen on race day. But if you saw his trials, particularly that last one that we're having a look at here, he just stretched out so nicely. He looked like the Giga Kick of old. And look, I know 1,000 metres is not his perfect distance. He's more of a 1,200 metre horse, but you could imagine with J-Mac on, they're going to have a fair bit of pace on up front, and he'll know, J-Mac that is, when to push the button, and I think he'll win. I'd love to see him come back and win this race, because if he does, he'll be favourite by the end of the race.
Let's chat about the Everest. 2 slots taken so far, still 10 to go. Each year we see different theories, different movements by the slot holders, but we've had a lot of 3-year-olds thrown up for contention. What do you think, or what would you be expecting to see at the end of racing today in Sydney and in Melbourne?
Well, I honestly think they could fall like dominoes, Julie, because if these horses race well, or as I say, don't race badly, I mean, look at a horse like Private Eye in the Concord. He's raced in 2 Everests and placed in both of them, and you'd expect him to be hitting the line. I don't know if he'll win today, but he'll probably run the faster sectional in that race. Bang, he has to go in. You've got in Bella Nipotina. She's such a good horse, such a good mare that you'd nearly have to pick her. She'd be right up there. Then in Victoria, you've got Lady of Camelot, the Golden Slipper winner, who could beat the current Everest favourite, I Wish I Win. Bang, she'd have to go in. So then you've got the Blue Diamond winner, Hasayugi, is in that same race. If she wins, well, she's comes into some sort of contention. So look, after tonight, I would expect the slot holders have to start moving, because you really don't want to get caught without a horse, albeit a horse like Stormboy could make a late charge, as Adrian said before. But it's a big day. The Concord will have massive ramifications one way or another, I think, on what's going to happen.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, when you think that, John Camilleri's got his own spot, and Annabelle said earlier that looks like it's going to go the way of the Sunshine in Paris, and she will race in the Chiraco, which she won last week. That happens next week. Now, what about the Furious Stakes?
Yeah, I think Julie's on the right wagon there with Manal. She was a big run there first up, and you have to take into account she was giving those other fillies 3 kilos, just the way the set weights with penalties. Today, they're level weights. I mean, that has to make a difference. I know they weigh 500 kilos, these horses, but 3 kilos in a tight finish was probably the difference between winning and losing. It will all come down to whether Manal's looking for 1,400 and not 12. But look, I think she was the top filly last year, beyond 1,200, so you've got to give her the nod today.
And what are your thoughts on the Tramway as well?
Well, the tramway is interesting for what you pointed out before, Amelia's Jewel. This will be her first run in Sydney since she failed in the Golden Eagle with excuses. It's her first run at Randwick. I mean, look, I wouldn't say she's a capital C champion, but she's getting towards that. Her record's outstanding. She was a Karrakatta Plate winner as a 2-year-old, Kingston Town winner later on. She nearly won the Quokka. It was a huge run behind Overpass. So a lot of expectations around her, but nobody really knows how she's going to go. I will say one thing, she's advantaged by a very fast track today and the great weather. That's what she's used to in Perth, and that's what she's going to get in Sydney.
And she's a very good first up.
The brilliant first up, absolutely.
How are conditions looking in Sydney today, Shane?
Well, they're actually outstanding again. I mean, we've had 2 weekends of good weather, quite warm without being anything uncomfortable for the horses and the people at the track. Randwick will play fast, no doubt about that. Apparently there's a southerly wind going to come this afternoon, and anyone who knows Randwick means that blows the horses along in the straight. So they might run a course record or two, I don't know, but we'll see how they go. The Concorde's going to be fast, don't worry about that though.
Shane, there's a friend of mine, close friend of mine, who really needs a winner today, but needs a winner at a little bit of odds. Is there something that you want to throw out? You know, that could, others watching the show could maybe get free takeaway dinner tonight over a lovely game of footy or a movie. Have you got something for us? You're shuffling your papers around.
Well, I was just finding one that's not favourite, but one I think that is good odds, and it could even, in fact, win the Melbourne Cup. Kovalika in the tramway. I reckon he's going to run a sneaky race because he won the Queensland Derby, so we know he'll run the Melbourne Cup trip. But you look at him today, he's a very good fresh horse, and I don't think he's there just to make up the numbers. I like it.
Okay. And Julie's just written Kovalika, get down. 2 guesses who my friend is. Shane.
I've also written champ with a capital C. That's you, Shane. Well done.
Oh, thanks very much.
You're good.
Yeah. All right, not according to the tipping comp, but anyway. Thanks,
well,
got to be in it to win it, Shane. We all do.
Finishing line's a long way away. We'll talk to you next week.
We'll see you next week. Of course, thank you to our great sponsors, Racing New South Wales and Arrowfield. We'll see you again next week for another show.
Yeah, have a wonderful week, and Racing Dreams. Make sure you're here every week. Don't miss it.